Alright, so we're back. I've been doing a lot of PVM lately. I still have a drop video I need to do, but this is an important one that I wanted to talk about. Why I play Legacy and what it does for me. So, one of the big things that you'll see me do are weird movements or little things like you're seeing in front of you, which is Grimoire spamming. I need the spec. I kill myself with a stronger spec. Fuck you, Rexy. But it really forces me, Legacy does, to really abuse the game in different ways than I have to on EOC. See, all about EOC, there's a clear path to victory. You know you want Shatter. You know you want Death Swiftness active at times, at this time or another. It's like you know how to time all these things and you work the abilities around what you have. But I think in that, with stuff like Surge, you kind of lose track of how important your character placement is. Now, some of the old free-to-play PKers will know exactly what I'm talking about when I say movement is everything. You can get extra hits out of this game. And when you're talking about a two-handed weapon that does the equivalent of 9 or 1,000 damage or 90, or 9, yeah, whatever I'm trying to say, 9,000 to 10,000 damage on EOC, every single hit is extremely precious. So here you'll see me fighting the Twin Furies and getting yeeted across the room. It is what it is. And in this one, I'm showing you the Grimoire spam so you can see that this is actually a thing. So how the Grimoire works is in 6-second intervals, it degrades. So for example, if my hits are 3.6 seconds, if I time it on the first part of one hit, and, you know, the back end of another, that sort of thing, or vice versa, I can essentially get 2 hits out of the Grimoire without using a single charge. So one little thing that I abuse in the game is a Grimoire to make my hits better, to force a crit. I already have Biting 4 on my armor, which is an 8% chance to force a crit. With the Grimoire, 12%, that makes me a 20% chance to force a critical hit. Doesn't sound like a huge deal, but when you're using dual crossbows on Nex, on Zero's phase, you're definitely going to want that extra DPS. But you can see me swinging some really high numbers here, and you can see the Grimoire doing its job. I didn't get a good example of this kill to show you that I can hit 1500s essentially, but it happens, and it's amazing. Vindicta is another great boss where you can use the Grimoire during the ZGS special effect to really get some high hits. Of course, without the Twin Furies little thing at the end where they kind of merge together and they let you hit super, super high, Vindicta doesn't do, so I really barely hit over 1200 if I do. But you can see that it's a massive DPS increase. I mean, the fact that I can do Vindicta consistently at a minute 15 to a minute 25 is proof enough that Legacy can contend as an actual viable thing. Now that being said, so you guys can have perspective, my fastest kill at Vindicta and Gorvek is 1 minute 12 seconds. A couple of my friends have 32 seconds or 36 seconds in EOC. So no matter what I'm saying here, I'm talking about a different way to play the game and how to play it better, not do you have to, do you not. Now you'll see Vindicta fly up here, and then I'll run laterally. You see that? It's hidden diagonally, and I'll run laterally, and I can swing across the entire arena. This is another way that I can show you how Legacy really has forced me to play the game really, really, really well. So you can see in this little diagram I have kind of painted out. I'm going to try to show you the best I can with my mouse. If Vindicta's over here and it's shooting a flame in this direction, I'm going to want to run either north or, well, I guess that'd be west or south. So up or to the left. It's weird how it works, but it does work. And even if you're completely across the arena, it doesn't matter at all. It should be just fine. So, you know, showing you right here, if it hits a diagonal like that, you'd simply want to run to each one of the corners that you have. And it's weird how it works. So, like, if it's on the side, you're actually going to want to run at a diagonal. I'll show you an example of that in a minute. But once you start running, as soon as Vindicta is able to be hit, you want to try to hit it. Now, here's the side angle. If Vindicta's over here, shooting a flame, right down, you want to run right there. Yep, you want to do a diagonal. It's weird, but instead of having your character run all the way to Vindicta, doing all that extra traveling with something like Melee, you can save yourself quite a bit of time. Now, I'm testing this with dual wields too, because I found some cool movement stuff that I could do with dual wields at Nex, so I've switched everything over to dual wields. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I'm exploring it. The way I justify it is for every 3 hits I get of, 3.6, 2.4, yes. For every 2 hits I get of his EGS, I get 6 hits of Kopascius in the same amount of time. So I need to test this. The problem was I was expecting dual wields to be half, hit speed and half damage and everything. It's turning out to be a little more complicated than that, and I don't know why I thought it would be that easy, but I'm going to experiment more. Now, coming up next, I want to show you Nex. Nex has been interesting. I remember me and a friend were duoing her for quite some time, and I ran around the corner and she just stopped following me on Shadow Phase. It's like, what is that? And then I found it. Look at this. So you do a 2x1, and it tricks her movement a little bit. You see that? You do a 2x1, and she doesn't follow you. So she's on me again. There we go. And then she's on me, and she spazzes out, and it's a little weird, but there you go. There's that 2x1. It doesn't seem to be 2x1 north, south, east, west. It literally just means you move 2 away and then 1 to the side. That seems to be working to get her off me during Shadow Phase, which has made my solos much more bearable. Now, granted, in Legacy, with my current gear setup, I haven't tried my Blightbounds back there yet. 5-minute kills. But anything I can do to negate some of that damage from Nexus Shadow Phase is huge. I'm going to try to show you again here. So, her position's weird. You see how, I kind of ran past her body for a 2-1? That's what freaks me out. Is because, you know how she kind of spams movement? It's her, I think the game switches her movement faster than her character, and it causes weird things, like when you run, you see how she hugs you and then she flips to the other side. It causes a really weird interaction. And this 2-1 movement thing to tick her off of you seems to be you'll know what I mean if you actually start doing it, but the point is the cheese is there. It exists. You can use it, and it'll make Nex soloing, if you're doing anything challenging or you're not killing her very quickly, it'll make something like that relatively trivial, because the rest of it's easy. So if you can abuse Grimoire to get a couple extra hits, or anything really, if you can just get those extra couple hits in, it becomes a big deal. It really does. And that's what I'm starting to figure out. It's like Blood Phase right there. I just got a 2-cycle Blood Phase, which means she siphoned twice. You want to try to avoid that, because it wastes time, and you can also heal her to a pretty insane amount of HP if you're not being careful. But when you're soloing, the hardest part is getting DPS downhill so she doesn't continue with that. It's actually been pretty easy in Legacy. I thought it would be harder, but it's not. So I'm finding out that, as I progress in Legacy and keep trying stuff out, and you guys will see in the next video all the drops. I'm going to try to do a big video on that and just talk about random stuff of Granger with the account. I've been very busy. I got Torva Plate Legs solo in Nex. I got some Araxi stuff I got to show you. I got a lot of cool stuff, and all of this has been done in Legacy. So even though it's slower, to me, because it's more fun, because it's more laid back to me, I find myself being able to do it for longer periods of time. It feels like smithing, where I'm paying attention, sort of. And then I can have whatever else going on in the background. So it really helps to just have something chilled, relaxed, that can actually work whenever you're fighting a boss. And this is one of the biggest places that I saw a Grimoire being useful, and that's when it comes to Nexus Zero's phase. Those crits matter. You go from hitting a 150 or 200 to a 250, which doesn't sound like a big deal. But when you're talking about a giant boss with massive stats that just destroys your armor, I have tier 92 armor, she's just smashing right through it. You want to kill this thing as quick as possible. And with Legacy, I don't want to just, combo eat Rocktail Brew and then sit there for 4 seconds while my character recovers and doesn't hit anything. So my next goal for Nex would probably be getting Nex down before I have to eat any food, which isn't that fast. I mean, I feel like I can do it, but I feel like I need to not only experiment with the bolts more, but movement a little more too. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.